Hello and welcome to episode number 82 of Bicycle Touring Talk. My name is George Schlacek.
The one and only.
This story starts on Sunday, July 2nd, 2017, after I had passed a mildly disappointing Canada Day in Kenora, Ontario. I then left the town and continued my ride, first east on Highway 17, but then south on Route 71 to catch Route 11 near St. Francis. I had been stealth camping at the side of the highway up on a hill and was up early to take down the tent right away. The fly was wet from condensation. I shook it off as much as I could and tucked it away like that. It was a roughly 20-kilometer ride to the first rest area, and I did that on an empty stomach. The reward was a beautiful spot with view of a lake. That's where I cooked porridge and made coffee, which both tasted fantastic.
Perfect place I found. It's a rest area, but it's right by the lake, and I'm just having breakfast and then I'm gonna check out where I'm gonna go today. My tent's packed away, but it's still damp. It's the condensation. It wasn't really a wet night, and it's not too bad. I'll just have to do the usual thing, either set up early or find a spot where I can dry it. Yeah, it was foggy earlier, but I think it's gonna be a nice day. Hopeful.
After I left the rest area, the weather seemed very iffy. It wasn't raining, but there was a gusty wind and very thick clouds. My next stop was in Sioux Narrows to fill up the water bottles. I also got a fudge brownie for a high-energy snack and recharged my phone just enough to keep it from dying. The lady at the store told me that it was about to warm up by a lot, and that there were going to be lots of hills on my ride. So far, those were actually fun. They were short and subtle compared to the ones in the mountains and even in the prairies, and the reward was always a fast descent that almost got me up the next hill without even any effort. Lunch was at a rest area near Nestor Falls. I had sandwiches with pepperoni, cheese, banana peppers, and sauerkraut. Very nutritious, and the ingredients don't spoil so easily even when you keep them in your panniers. I also took out the tent again so it could dry completely while I was eating. I was still eating when a young lady pulled up with a loaded touring bike. It turned out she was from Montreal and was headed toward BC. Her name was Robin. A cyclist named Felix had told me about her the day before. She said her travel companion was to be a short distance behind her. Then she mentioned some white pelicans she had seen at a lake nearby and took off. As soon as she had left, a guy pulled up on his bike. He also stopped briefly and told me about his tour, which had started in Boston and was without a firm destination. For now, he was just trying to catch up with Robin. On my way toward Nestor Falls, I saw the white pelicans and caught a good picture of one. Then a short distance later, my rear tire blew out completely. When I inspected it, I saw that one spot was worn right through.
See there? Yeah, it went poof. So I'm going to put the spare tire on. No choice, and I guess when I get the chance, I'll have to get another spare tire because you never know.
How come I had not noticed this before? Luckily, I had bought a spare tire in Winnipeg. It literally saved my butt that day. My tire may have been structurally compromised since roughing the Kettle Valley Trail in BC, but it had still made it through several thousand kilometers of roadway. The rest of the treads were hardly worn. Within half an hour, the tube was patched and the spare put on.
Okay, it's all fixed up now. Just gotta hook the brake back on here. And that's good. Good to go. I got a Continental double fighter now.
I considered throwing out the old tire on the spot, but decided to hold on to it until I was able to buy another spare. Another blowout of the front tire now seemed possible, since I had already had some concerns about that one.
Even though it looks like it's okay. Looks in good shape still, but you never know.
Any tire pieces could come in handy to make a temporary patch. As I was finishing up, a van stopped. Out came a man I had met and chatted with at the Walmart in Kenora. He was one of the people who had advised me to take this route. We talked for a bit. It turned out that his daughter was living in Fort Frances, so that's where he was going. The ride got better after this. The sun finally came out and the terrain flattened out until it looked much like Manitoba. I stopped for supper at the intersection of Highway 11. There was a gas station and store at the corner. When I wanted to fill my water bottles, I saw a warning sign. Do not drink the water. I was told that the septic had a problem and was leaching into the well water. It was only 30 more kilometers to Fort Frances, and I was determined to get there. I arrived close to sunset. After some looking around, I found a secluded spot not too far from the water tower. I set up the tent in a densely wooded area with tall grass. The next day started with breakfast at McDonald's, followed by some grocery shopping at Walmart. Canadian Tire had the right spare tire. I finally left the area around 10. Soon I met a man in an electric wheelchair who wanted to talk to me. He said that my friends were just ahead of me and I could probably catch up with them. I wasn't sure what he was talking about. The road through town and across the Rainy Lake area was pretty sweet. Fort Frances is a very beautiful town and the surrounding area is spectacular. There were more hills now and the road was very quiet. After about 40 kilometers, I was ready for a snack. According to my map, there was supposed to be a rest area coming up very soon, but all I found was a boat launch area and a lookout, neither one of which had a picnic table. I ate some fruits and nuts and went on. Suddenly, I noticed something unusual on the shoulder. Was that a bicycle? When I got close, it turned out to be 2 bicycles, leaned against one another. The riders were sitting up on a rock. I had met them before. Some of you may remember episode number 59, when I had just left my campsite in Tofino. The 2 cyclists were Marion and Tom, the couple from France. We talked for a while and ended up riding together for a bit, until after about 65 kilometers I finally found my rest area. Tom and Marion stopped to use the bathroom and then went on. But I was really hungry and cooked a big pot of pasta with stew. Adakoken was still about 100 kilometers away, but somehow I had decided I was going to get there by the end of the day, and that was going to be a big challenge. The hills were starting to wear down on me despite the frequent high-speed descents. Then at one point I heard someone yelling behind me. It was Tom. He and Marion had finally stopped for a meal too. They had found a small open area and considered setting up camp for the night, but then had decided to go to Adakoken as well when a snake had appeared out of the bush. We made plans to ride there together. Tom suggested we could split the cost for a campsite there, which sounded like a great idea. The ride remained intense the whole way, but it seemed easier now riding with company. Soon the temperature dropped. Then it got dark, way earlier than in the prairies, it seemed. We finally reached Adakoken and found the campground almost right away. It had showers and we were allowed to share one site. Unfortunately, the place was infested with mosquitoes and it was dark. I had some trail mix and a nice long shower before settling down. While lathering up in the shower, I noticed a tick in a more private area of my body. Luckily, it had not attached itself to me. Those suckers are known to transmit Lyme disease. Where had I picked that up? Wow. In the next episode, I'll tell you about the rest of my time with Marion and Tom, who became my friends on this ride through Western Ontario. I hope you'll join me again for that. Hey, before you go, hit the like button. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.